Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of AFR's Corner. This show is presented to you by the Spurs Up Show, which I'm sure you guys have heard of and already listened to, otherwise you most likely wouldn't be watching this. But just in case you aren't already, make sure you're following the Spurs Up Show on all your favorite social media sites. And just in case you didn't know, the Spurs Up Show is also brought to you by BetMyBookie. Make sure you use promo code SpursUp to get a 50% bonus on your next deposit. So that means if you deposit $100, you get 50 free bucks from BetMyBookie. This episode we're pretty much going to be talking about the win over Vanderbilt. Usually with games usually being on Saturday and Tuesday, we'll just go ahead and recap the week. But I'm filming this right now Wednesday night, right after the Vanderbilt game wrapped up, so that's fresh on my mind. That's kind of what I talk about. And to be honest with you guys, I had planned to pretty much rant about this game, but then we turned around and won it right in the last few minutes. So I was kind of speechless there for a little bit. But we're going to go ahead here and we're just going to take a look at a few of the notable stats from the game. A.J. Lawson was kind of the big story from the game. He racked up 24 points, gone 8 of 14 from the field, so he was efficient shooting. But the biggest, even bigger, he was efficient from the line. He was 7 of 8 from the line, and that was huge going down the stretch. And then he played almost the entirety of the game. He played 35 minutes, so this was a game where he really kind of put the team on his back, not entirely as we'll talk about later, but he was probably the only player that we can say was consistently solid, and the team could count on from start to finish. And then, interesting enough, Trey Campbell, who had been playing almost the entirety of the games recently, he only played 15 minutes because he got in foul trouble early, as did several other people. So he was essentially a non-factor in this game. He played at the beginning, and then he played a few minutes right at the end there and helped us seal the victory. Then Mike Kotar, my man of the week last week, he was basically defunct as well. I think he played 20 minutes, so he got time in, not his starter's minutes that he usually gets, but he had 4 personal fouls as well, and he just looked like kind of like a bull in the china shop when he was trying to drive to the rim from the 3-point line, and that's just not his game. He did have a few rebounds. He had 4 rebounds, and I remember he had a couple of good plays on the offensive board especially, but it was not his night tonight. Keyshawn Bryant had another solid outing, especially in the first half when a lot of the team was inconsistent. Him and A.J. Lawson were really shouldering the load, and even though we did end up getting down by 10 points, they made sure it wasn't a blowout. He ended up with 13 points. Biggest thing with him, he needs to make free throws. He was 1 of 6 from the free throw line, and it really almost cost us at the end. It was a 1 possession, 2 possession game. Right there then, going back and forth, and there was, I think, three free throws in a row Keyshawn missed, and that could have cost us the game. 6 rebounds. I think he led the team in rebounds, so he had a couple really big crucial ones at the end. So big game for him on there. He's close to really being a complete player. Chris Silva, did he play tonight? He played 13 minutes, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 5 personal fouls. He just was non-existent. He had 1 big play at the end of the game. He had a big block, but other than that, Chris Silva was just this was mostly a game 1 without Chris Silva, which says a lot for this team. Says a lot for some of the other players on this team, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Hasani Gravit somehow finished with 17 points after scoring his first basket. I'm pretty sure within the last 10 minutes of the game. He just came up huge at the end of the game when we really needed some clutch baskets. Hasani was there to make them. He was 5-11 from the floor, but he was 3 of 5 from 3-point line, and he had finished playing 28 minutes. Felipe Haase had another fairly solid outing. He's quietly been one of the more consistent players on the team recently. His shot is hit or miss, but he's been surprisingly solid defensively, and he's been getting to the free throw line. He finished with 9 points, only 1 from the field. He was 6 of 6 from the free throw line. When we talked about Alonzo Frink last week, we were talking about how he couldn't make his way into the lineup. Now he's actually playing solid minutes, and today Interestingly enough, he finished with 0 points, but I couldn't get over how big of an impact he was making on the court, especially in the second half when we were playing without Chris Silva and Mike Kotsar, who both had 4 fouls. Him and Felipe Haase pretty much held down the two forward positions. Well, I guess forward slash center, but call him what you want. It was just darn impressive how he was able to hold his own defensively and have a presence near the rim on the other end of the court as well. Evan Hinson, he struggled tonight. He almost looked at times like he forgot what sport he was playing, and that's just I don't I don't mean that in a horrible way. It's just that he plays with a great intensity, but at times it's a little reckless, and he got lucky. He drew a couple fouls while he was going to the rim. Maybe put up not so wise shots. He still played 14 minutes, but I'm not sure we would have seen him play that many if Chris Silva and Mike Kotsar were allowed to see the field with how he was playing tonight. He didn't have the best showing tonight. It'll be interesting to see how he continues to find his role in this lineup moving forward. And then since I don't really have a rant for you guys anymore, although we're gonna touch on these refs, don't you worry. We're gonna run through a list of positives real quick, and real quick. How about AJ Lawson? He is just really pulling it all together, and he really kind of seems to be the package deal. He's got the 3-point, he's got the jumper that he can pull it from the elbow, he can drive to the rim, and he's not scared to. He knows how to, even if he doesn't have a good shot, he knows how to drive to the rim and pick up the foul, and that's almost just as good as being able to make a layup. And then he's converting on the free throws as well, and he's good on the other end of the court on defense. So it's just I like him more every game. I think everybody does. It's just I don't want to compare him to Colin Sexton, but he kind of reminds me of Colin Sexton, except he's Canadian, so he's obviously not going to be disrespectful. But just so impressive through through the entirety of the season, but especially through the beginning of conference play. He just every game he seems to grow a little bit, and it's just excited to see what he's going to be playing like at the end of league play. Keyshawn Bryant is in the same boat. I don't think he's quite there as putting it all together like we talked about last week. He's still learning how to play the game, and it's just you look at him when the season started. He couldn't make minutes because he was a liability on the defensive end of the court. Now he's a starter, and he's solid on defense. He's just still got some things like tonight he couldn't make the free throws, and he's just still got a few inconsistencies like that he's got to put together that it seems like AJ Lawson has kind of already figured out. But I have no doubt that Keyshawn Bryant is going to get there. Oh, and the refs, I'm actually not gonna go on about them, but oh my goodness, they made that game long and tough to watch. Every drive, and I know a Frank Martin game, we're going to be watching a lot of trips to the free throw line already, but it was just incessant. It seemed like every drive, you gesture towards the rim, you're going to the line. And I know Vanderbilt fans had to be just as frustrated. They had just as many people in foul trouble, but oh my goodness, they made that game difficult to win, and just all the more kudos to the team for pulling through. And I was talking to Chris about it right before I filmed this video. Hashtag win anyway. The mantra is back. Really can't say enough about Felipe Haase and Alonzo Frank. They didn't do anything that really jumped off the charts. They actually both kind of had a rough first half, especially Alonzo Frank. He was pretty sloppy in the first half, but was forced to play in the second half because of Mike Kotsar and Chris Silva both being in foul trouble, and they really were able to anchor the team during the comeback, which is something that I'm not sure any of us thought we were going to see of Felipe Haase and Alonzo Frank forward tandem anchoring the South Carolina Gamecocks in 2019. Alonzo Frank even finished with 0 points, like we said, but I think all hats off should go to him. just the fact that the true freshman that didn't even get to practice was forced into a situation in league play where he didn't put the team on his back, but he had to fulfill his role to a T, and he had to play serious minutes in a comeback situation, and he was able to do it and pull it off. Same goes to Hase. Hats off to two of them. They both had a great game. Speaking of having a great game when it matters, how about Hasani Gravit turning it on in clutch time? I mean, those threes, and then the drive to the rim and the layup, just like that. Like, I didn't even see the play develop, and he's flashed to the rim, and he scores a layup just flawlessly. I mean, I can't say enough good about him, especially after kind of not being there the first 30 minutes, kind of essentially. I mean, he was there on defense, but we were really struggling to get any type of flow on offense going the first solid 25 minutes of that game. And Hasani Gravit not being present, and Chris Silva as well, was a big part of it. And Hasani Gravit wasn't present because he was in foul trouble. He just wasn't present. He was struggling to get involved in the game. And once he did, and he had to assert his own presence, we were better off for it. I said last week that for this team to be good, Hasani Gravit was going to have to continue his strong play, and I really think we saw that tonight. I don't have too much more. Just kind of wanted to keep it short and sweet and talk about that really just kind of mind-boggling, just kind of victory that makes you speechless even after I've been talking for these past 10 minutes or so. But really, I think we're seeing that this team is kind of clutch. They really want to win. They're going to fight tooth and nail every game, which isn't this kind of exactly what we saw out of our Final Four team? I mean, I see a lot of the same traits. They went into the game, almost every game in the tournament, down at half, and came out in the second half just willing to fight to be the better team, to get opportune shots, to tire out their opponents with good defense. I don't think we're to the point where we need to bet the books that South Carolina's going to blow anybody out, but man, I think we're seeing that this team's got some fight to it, and I wouldn't count them out of any battle against any team in the nation, really, even if they had to do a rematch with Michigan or Virginia. Or heck, even Stony Brook, bring them on out. We'll take you, buddy. Uh, I'm really liking what we're seeing out of this team so far in conference play, and I think you guys should too. And hopefully you do, because it's really kind of exciting seeing what these young guys who are going to be the core of the team for the next 2 to 3 years, when we've got a pretty promising recruiting class shaped up for next season coming in. So I think we've got a pretty strong future. Here we are saying that week 4 in the conference season we could change our tune completely in another 4 weeks. Here we are. We already thought this episode was going to be a rant, and ended up being a glowing praise of the team and the program. And we're destined to have a great future for the next 3 to 4 years, however long we can get AJ Lawson to stay around. So yeah, that is a wrap on AFR's Corner. Once again, this is presented to you by the Spurs Up Show. Make sure you are following the Spurs Up Show on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, where hopefully you are watching this and you are subscribing. It's been a pleasure to talk to you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the content. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at AFR is me at Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. If you're interested in video games as well as sports, you want to check out my Twitch. I stream weekdays at 7 a.m. Right now I'm playing Kingdom Hearts, but I play all types of different stuff on the PlayStation. Hope you have a wonderful day, evening, night, whenever it is you're watching this, and I'll catch you guys next Thursday on the next episode of AFR's Corner. Spurs up. Spurs up. Spurs up, 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 Spurs up.